It took 21,000 men and one black dog to build the Hoover Dam. Tune in to hear about the unexpected mascot for this massive marvel.
You're listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust.
Welcome to the Travel FOMO podcast. My name is Hillary Houghton, and I'm here with my husband and dog lover, Jamin.
Most of the time.
Most of the time? Oh my gosh, Maggie, close your ears. I can't believe you just said that.
There are days.
There are days when you don't love our dog or all dogs.
Potentially all dogs. Really, I don't love picking up poop in the rain.
Well, yeah.
That's a big part of it.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. I think you're an okay person. Okay, guys, today we are taking you to Nevada. We are going to Boulder City, Nevada, which I don't know if you're like me, you actually have never heard of this before this. So for me, Boulder City, Nevada was just some random place on a map. And I don't even know how we came about it, but we found out about it and we're like, you know what, let's just go there. It sounds like a nice place just outside Vegas. And we can relax on our gap year adventures and kind of take a little pause. And then we'll head into Vegas shortly after. So I feel like that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, I think we were interested in like just taking a minute to chill out.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be somewhere, one, that we could book that was available, and two, where the weather would be decent. And we could leave Joshua Tree in the frigid temps every night. Because we had to boondock in Joshua Tree, and it was just nasty cold. So we were like, you know what? We're gonna go to Boulder City, see what it's all about.
Yeah, and it was great. We actually ended up loving this little place and we're pleasantly surprised. It is not a big city. It's a little city, but it's got mountains around it. It's got some pretty great little views, especially at sunset. And it was established around the same time of the Hoover Dam. And it's not really a result of the Hoover Dam being built, but it was the city closest by that was a means to help the dam being built, if I'm remembering correctly. My notes are right. And the thousands of construction workers and their families that were building the Hoover Dam, they all needed places to live. They needed restaurants, they needed grocery stores, they needed real lives right there. And that's really how Boulder City came to life. And the really fun part is a lot of the city's original Art Deco buildings still remain. And so you feel that that energy that was present at the time.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because it is a city that was there, but then really got built up and sort of like established by all of these top level architects and engineers and builders who are building the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
And so naturally you're going to build your home and your city really, really well. And that's kind of what you get. So it's this unique little mid-century modern city out there in Nevada. Cool. It's really cool and built up around the time of the Hoover Dam because so much was going on there. And the Hoover Dam was created to provide like water and irrigation and hydroelectric power for so much of the Southwest.
Yeah.
Like water supply for LA, Vegas, Phoenix,
major cities.
Like
the livelihood of our country.
And so far away. Like,
right.
I feel like they're so far away, but out in the desert is where all their water comes from, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It really was kind of this solution to a problem and saying, okay, we have the Colorado River where all the snow melts from the Rockies and runs down and like will flood this area. What do we do? How do we kind of harness some of that? And the Hoover Dam was the solution. The Colorado River impacts so many of the places that we went on gap year.
Yeah, totally.
Like obviously the Rocky Mountains where it kind of starts, the Grand Canyon, Page, Arizona, even Moab, Utah. Like we'd been so many places that the Colorado River touched, and it just shapes so much of that part of the country. It's really kind of cool. And the Hoover Dam is a great place to tour and visit. It's this amazing thing. It gets like 7 million visitors every year.
Yeah.
And
You could tell.
yeah, when we were there were a ton of people there. Even though it wasn't necessarily a busy time of year, it was still like packed. It's kind of crazy too that they diverted the Colorado River. It's this massive river. They diverted it around the dam site so that they could build the dam. And so for years, it was diverted.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I know like Congress passed legislation to turn the structure into Hoover Dam after President Hoover in 1947. I think before that it was the Boulder Dam. It was a target for a German bomb plot during World War II.
That's crazy.
The Germans had decided that they were going to try to bomb Hoover Dam and blow it up to disrupt power and water supply to all of the a lot of the manufacturing that were making our planes in California. And so there's this bomb plot. It was discovered and then foiled. And so they restricted access up close to the Hoover Dam by water around that time to keep it from happening. But just crazy. Just crazy all the impacts it has all around.
Yeah, I know. I think it's so fascinating too that so many people want to come and see it. I think is really kind of fascinating. It is definitely a man-made marvel, so to speak. And it took a lot of concrete, guys, and a lot of people. The dam contains enough concrete. You could build a 2-lane road, 16 feet wide, 8 inches thick, all the way from San Francisco to New York City. That is how much concrete we're talking about.
That's crazy.
A 2-lane road that goes from San Francisco to New York City. And if the concrete would have been poured in a single pour, which they did it piece by piece, so that it could dry. But if they'd poured it all at once, it would have taken 125 years to dry.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
It's insane. And some of the stuff you look up says that it's like still curing and will like cure for a couple hundred more years.
That's crazy.
Just insane that could be done.
Yeah, yeah. And you were reminding me that it's the, and you can tell us exactly what this means, but it's the first man-made structure that exceeds the masonry mass of something like the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the Great Pyramid of Giza was built, out of rock and stone and all that masonry, and then nothing else exceeded it for all those thousands of years until the Hoover Dam was built.
That's crazy.
Nothing else was built as big. That's just insane.
Yeah.
It's insane that like so many iterations of the world, like Egypt was the center of the world and all of its massive empire, it falls. Then the Greeks rule the world. They fall. Rome, the Roman Empire, and all that Rome built and all the construction that Rome did, it falls. Then you have the European empires like the British Empire and the like Spanish and French and all of that and everything that they built and made, and nothing was as big as Pyramid of Giza until the Hoover Dam out in Nevada. It's crazy.
Good. You know your history so well. I'm like, wow, that's well said. Well, and obviously it took a ton of people to build something that huge.
Yeah, 21,000 men
That's a lot.
worked on the project. I think there was an average of around 5,000 men working all at one time during like the height of the project. I know there was like 600 men from Texas that came and worked as kind of like a contingency.
For all our Texas friends out there.
Yeah, for all you proud Texans. But 5,000 men, that's a lot. Like that's a lot of people to be working on something all at once. And
it's dangerous.
It was very dangerous. There were like 96 deaths that were classified as industrial fatalities. So people that died on the job site.
Because of work-related deaths, I guess you would say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like something went wrong and they were killed as a result.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of people. Like
it is, but it's not in the grand scheme of 21,000.
Yeah.
If you think about it that way.
But if you think about like a company with 21,000 people in it, like how many of them die as a result of their job? Not that many.
Well, that's true. But maybe in construction.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
know.
it was above and beyond dangerous kind of conditions, and something on that scale was just a hard thing to do, and it costs people their lives, sadly. But there's a myth out there that 3 men had fallen into the concrete and that they couldn't get them out.
I'd always heard this story.
Yeah, I had heard it all growing up. I know there's a Johnny Cash song that references it, and we found out when we were there that that's a myth.
Yeah.
That no one died and their body was not retrieved. They actually have like a bronze statue of one of the workers, like in like all the riggings, like hanging off the side of that, like all the workers would have had to do. And when you see it, like it looks really dangerous. It's basically a guy on a swing, you know, like,
yeah.
It's just crazy what the mass of the project and what all it took.
But and if you think about it, like, I wonder if any of those fatalities had anything to do with like the heat. Probably not.
I don't know.
I don't know. We should dig into that more. That's interesting. Okay, another little known fact about the Hoover Dam is that there was a mascot, which I think is like so sweet. And when you get there and actually go to visit, which there are tons of people there, and so you're kind of walking around across the bridge and across the dam and just in the museum and all these things, and there are lots of people there. But one of the things you'll see is that they have an actual tombstone for a dog that had wandered around the work site and gotten to know all the guys that worked there, and he would go up ladders. Imagine a dog walking up a ladder. Like, let's just stop and think about that for a second. So I don't know, exactly what that looks like, but that's pretty impressive that was true. He walked over catwalks, he went through tunnels, and he even rode on the elevator that they had there, and he would bark to let the guy know that he wanted on or off. So there was an elevator, a guy operating the elevator, and the dog would walk up and like bark and be like, "Hey, let me in." And the commissionary there, he prepared a meal every day for the dog, and he put it in a paper sack, and the dog would grab the paper sack with his mouth and he would take it to the job site, like carry it to the job site just like he was any of the other guys with his lunch sack. So sweet. He actually died though also on the site, which is perhaps not surprising considering how dangerous the job was. He did not fall off a ladder. He actually was sleeping under a truck, and a guy turned on the truck and started moving the truck or rolling the truck or something, and ran over the dog. And so, but the dog was right there with all of his buddies when he died, and the workers actually they jackhammered a tomb into a rock there on the site for him on that day, like immediately.
Yeah.
Created a grave for him. But isn't that sweet?
Yeah, that was a really cool story. They've got like a little monument set up to him, and that was a cool thing to learn.
Yeah.
What do you think was like most interesting or surprising to you, like other things you found out about Hoover Dam?
Yeah. Well, I love the story of the dog. I think that's really sweet. I love to almost cry.
Of course.
And but I was really surprised that so much of the prosperity that we see in the Southwest part of the United States is really due to Hoover Dam. I mean, if we didn't have it, would we have the kind of prosperity that we see in Vegas and Phoenix and LA? I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they would definitely have to come up with a different solution for their water and power. It is pretty crazy.
Yeah. What about you?
I think just all the concrete, and when you go and see it, it is massive. It's just massive. But then when you really look into it or read about it and see like just the scale of the project that it was, I was surprised to know just the magnitude of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what was your favorite thing that we did in Boulder City other than Hoover Dam? Obviously, it's just right there. It's hard. You couldn't not do it. But other than that, what did you really enjoy about it?
I mean, for me, like Boulder City is just a cool little city. Like the Art Deco inspirations there are really cool, and it's like it's kept up and really nice and clean. The places to eat were really good. Like we found some really good food spots.
Yes.
In Hoover, not in Hoover Dam, but in Boulder City.
Yeah. We loved the food. We also saw Hemingway. Okay, Hemingway Park was one of the places that we really enjoyed there. It was really cold. I would say maybe we didn't enjoy it so much, but we thought it was like, wow, what a cool place to come hang out at this park where you've got a view of the lake behind it and surprise, all these longhorn sheep.
Yeah.
They're literally in this like city park and they've got they literally have the horns and everything, and everybody said like you can go out there and see them at any time, and sure enough we showed up and it did not disappoint. They're like right there on the grass where kids would maybe play soccer or something.
Right.
It was so funny. I mean, obviously other things to do, you could go to Vegas if you wanted to.
Yeah.
One night we went to a movie at a really fancy casino outside of Vegas, like on the outskirts. That was fun. And then the Hoover Dam Lodge and Casino, which we went out there to pass by it because you had mentioned that you had been there with your grandpa years ago.
Yeah, the very first time I ever went to Vegas, my grandpa took me and a couple of my cousins and one of my aunts, and we drove out there, like road trip from Oklahoma. And as soon as we crossed the border into Nevada, there in Boulder City, we stopped at the Hoover Dam Lodge and Casino and played a couple hands of blackjack, and Papa taught us how to play on our way to Vegas. So it's a fun memory for me of that little spot.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And we got to go out there and film you, take pictures of you out beside that casino again. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us more about the places to eat that you loved.
I mean, there were so many. I know you had some coffee at the Boulder City. Was it Boulder City Company store, I think?
Yes, it was great. Oh my goodness. We walk in and we're thinking oh, this looks like a little old school place, cute craft coffee, but also kind of like a mercantile maybe.
Yeah.
And so we go in and it's funky on the inside. There was it was really interesting to see all these older people hanging out in such a funky modern place.
Right.
I was like, what? But it was the coffee place to go for everybody of all ages, which was really fun. And then they even had live music when we were there. We went on a Saturday morning and there was this live saxophone player and he's walking around and he walks up to you while you're sitting eating a Danish or something. And he comes up and he's playing the saxophone for you and I'm filming. And it was really sweet and endearing and, lively. I think I was surprised at the energy of Boulder City and the different little places that we went to because it feels so quaint and low key, easy parking. I mean, it's all very small town, but then you see the people and they're super friendly and high energy, and there's a lot kind of going on inside these little places.
Yeah.
It's old in terms of I guess you would say these buildings are old Art Deco buildings, but they're alive inside. They are functioning businesses and it's cool.
Yeah. And it is a really cool little downtown area and where every shop is full.
Yeah.
It's not this half ghost town,
right.
A couple of places hanging on. Every spot is full.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember so much of the food we had there was really, really good. If you can only go to one spot, go to Chili Jillies.
Oh my gosh. So good.
Their thing is frozen custard, which was really, really good and legit and worth going just for that. But everything that we had there was good. We had some sandwiches. I had a sandwich that was like, it was a ham sandwich on a croissant,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like, okay, I'm sure that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was excellent.
It was the big corn sandwich. Do you recognize that it's like relates back to the big corn sheep and that they have in there in the city?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had the corned beef sandwich, which was amazing as well, which I would normally not order something like that, but really, really liked it. And what are they really famous for? They had like this pineapple float.
Yeah, like this like Dole float. So it's like a pineapple whip. And that's kind of their like staple thing. You had that.
It was so delicious.
Yeah, and I had like a root beer float with their custard. I think we ended up going like 3 times in total.
We're going to go ahead and fess up on that.
Like,
it was definitely 3 times.
Because it was so good. A couple of the times were just for custard, but it was amazing.
Yeah. But we were there like what? I mean, maybe a week.
I think we were there like 5 or 6 nights. So we had some time.
In our defense.
We had like Big T's Cantina. It was a little Mexican restaurant that was in the downtown area. It was really cool. Fox Smokehouse Barbecue. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
And the staff there was super friendly, very welcoming. I definitely recommend that place. We had breakfast at a little place called the Coffee Cup. Super popular spot. It was busy. We went on like a Monday or Tuesday morning and it was busy. And they told us on the weekends, it's like you have to stand in line to get in.
I think we saw how busy it was on the weekend. We were like, okay, we'll wait till Monday.
Yeah, we'll figure something else out for now. Like if you were going to say like the overall like vibe or personality of Boulder City, what do you think it would be?
Oh, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's vintage vibes, you know?
Yeah.
It's very like, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some pretty epic thrift stores there. We didn't see any. I don't remember. I'm not calling that out specifically. I just like, it's that kind of place where like everything, all this Art Deco, all that mid-century modern. You mentioned that earlier. You're like, it's kind of mid-century modern. And I'm like, yes, it is. And they've leaned into it and they've like owned it really well.
Yeah.
And kept it all in everything in such great condition that you can appreciate it. And it's not run down, mid-century modern or Art Deco stuff. It is like rich with like the beauty of that period.
Yeah, it's a really cool place and so different than Vegas for being so close.
Point. Yeah.
Like it's legit. Like we drove into Vegas to go to a movie one night and it's legitimately that close. But it's so totally different.
And you can't even see Vegas. Vegas is on like the other side of some mountains.
Yeah.
So it feels pretty.
Yeah,
I mean,
it feels out on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some sunsets and like some walks that I went on that I was like, wow, this is pretty. Like it's like a pretty town. It's wide open spaces and the RV park we stayed in was really great. I actually don't even know the name of it, but it was a really nice park, well kept and everything.
Yeah, it was a cool little spot. It was just about to be like the Christmas season, so you had bought some Christmas lights to hang on the RV, and it was the first place that we put the Christmas lights and stuff up, and that was fun and cool. It was a nice place to just relax for a few days. I feel like we had, ever since we had gotten sick, really, we had a bunch of really short stays, and so we'd been moving a lot, and we were kind of in this like go and
rougher stays where it wasn't warm or we were boondocking, so we didn't have electricity and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it was nice to be in a really nice park and just chill out and have a nice place to stay, and then when there's awesome food, that helps a lot too.
Yeah. Okay, and just for the record, guys, the place we stayed at was Canyon Trail RV Park, so highly recommend.
Yes,
it was great. It was also really walkable, so I went on walks and could like go down to all those places we've mentioned, little eateries. You can just walk super easy. So yeah, but yet it's a big enough town that there's things like Firestone and, all the things that you need as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun and got us really well rested for the next little stop on our journey.
Ooh, which was Vegas. Looking forward to telling you guys about that. So this was all happening in November of 2022.
Yep.
And we went to Vegas to do Thanksgiving dinner. So we are going to tell you about that in the next episode. We had the all-you-can-eat buffet at the Wynn, which we'd never done before, that specific buffet. And we'll tell you if it was worth it or not.
Yep.
I'll tell you what Thanksgiving dinner is like in the Wynn.
Yeah, make sure you're subscribed so you come along with us. If you want to have a little more input from us between now and the next release, you can follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram. Of course, we have our companion video out on YouTube where you can go and actually kind of see some of the stuff that we were talking about here and get a little additional content as well. So you'll want to check that out for all things Travel FOMO.
That's right. You can also reach us by email at travelfomopodcast@gmail.com. That's travelfomopodcast@gmail.com. Okay, guys, life is short.
Wander well.